Welcome to the Opinionated Aussies.
Adrian's a wanker.
G'day.
Woohoo!
Always got to start with a nice one, don't we?
Yeah, bet you're over it, aren't you?
Have a nice day.
It's endearing as fuck. Welcome back. As usual, it's me and Jordan. Aden couldn't be with us. We got Trent though. How's it going, Trent?
Oh, very well. I'm here. So
Yeah. We're way more casual than we usually are. But
It's good to have you on, Trent.
good to have you back.
Bloody good to be here.
Get some beers into you, maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, no, probably not for you. You got to drive.
Yeah, true that.
So
Be responsible.
we're not going to mess around at the start of this. We'll just do the usual, and then we'll get into the first thing we want to discuss. But first off, how's everyone been this fortnight?
Pretty busy, but getting by and feeling well.
That's good.
Oh, it's the main thing, eh?
You, Jordan?
Big week at work, mate. You know what it's like. Well,
Yeah.
no, you don't. But no, big week at work.
Yep.
Good couple of days off. So sort of changed my mentality while I was at work. Set my priorities up a bit. How can I word this? Set my priorities straight, I guess, in lack of better terms.
You screwed your head on a little bit more.
Oh, fuck. I don't know if you call it that much. But anyway.
Yeah.
Just set my priorities up a bit and join the gym. So,
That's the main thing. Always work on bettering yourself. I was going to say improving. That's not the word I wanted to use.
no.
Bettering yourself. But
Yeah.
that's good. I still did need to know your result of your first big training session.
Yeah, I know, it was fucked. You know it's a good training session when you throw up afterwards.
Oh. Yes.
That just means all the toxins that you just built up over the last fucking... For me, I think it was been 3 to 4 years since I last stepped foot into a gym.
Yeah. It's about the same for me.
About 4 years worth of toxins built up, and then I've gone and done a nice solid workout and my body's gone, what the fuck's all this in my body? Expel it quickly.
You can just hear fucking lines from The Exorcist happening in the background. Be gone, demon! The power of Christ compels you, but in this case it's the power of swole compels you. But no, it's good that I'm not far behind you. Once my surgery's in the next month are done, I'm doing the same thing. Yeah, bless you. Ha! The power of Christ. Good time. But yeah, good to hear that your weeks, fortnights have been pretty good. Mine's the same as well. Like I said, all the stuff for the surgeries have finally been booked, so hallelujah. I mean, there's other complications going on at the moment, but I'm going to try to stay positive, so not talking about it here.
That's right. You'll cross that bridge when you get to it, eh?
Yeah, and while I'm going across it, I'm taking the fucking oil can with me and lighting that bitch on fire so I don't have to cross it again. But before we get into it, the next episode that will be uploaded for this podcast will have Aden on it again, as we're doing a kind of special thing with Aden. Well, I am. Jordan, unfortunately, won't be, so you only have to listen to Jordan this week, and then you can have a break from him. You're stuck with me.
I can hear all the people in the background. Yes.
And then I said that I'm staying, and they're like, no.
Fuck.
But otherwise, I don't know if we'll have Trent next time, but that's something we'll discuss with Trent afterwards.
Sure.
Yeah. But let's get into today's points. Not really a whole topic right now. We'll get into some points. We've got Mental Health Awareness Month, October. Usually people straight up in a lot of podcasts I listen to, they usually go straight for October. Spooktober. They go straight for the horror aspect. But we here at the Opinionated Aussies are more focused on mental health. We like to bring awareness to it at literally every opportunity we get. You can't see it. Fucking even Jordan's wearing a fuck suicide hat.
Yeah, fuck no.
So,
shout out to Country Trucker Caps, man.
Country Trucker Cap.
That's a website I got.
I know. It's such a name. You just sit there. country trucker.
Yeah, seriously, a shout out to Country Truck. Was it Country
Country trucker caps.
Caps?
Country
I was
trucker.
gonna say Country Trucker Caps. Country Trucker Caps.
You did a really bad version of Star Trek. It's Country Trek. But yeah,
Shout out to them. It's a nice hat, man.
it is. Yeah, that's not the only one they do too. I
I got one for Aden for his birthday.
yeah.
And then, there's heaps. And just a whole heap of, sayings and stuff that they print on hats, man. It's fucking great. So, shout out to them. I found him on TikTok, so
Hey, good.
jump on TikTok and, search Country Truck Caps. He's got a link in his bio.
It's a good job. TikTok actually was useful for once.
TikTok gave me a whole new kink.
Yes. Oh my god.
I don't know if it's just my TikTok, but man,
You gotta link me because I don't even go on TikTok. Link me at least one of them.
We wore the green badges at work.
Yeah.
For Mental Health Week. So
Oh.
yeah. Like those cancer ones, but it was green.
Yeah.
The ribbons, but green.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Light green. Yeah.
So let's get into it because that's one of the reasons we have Trent here today. We have other things we're going to talk about with Trent as well, but let's get into this one. So let's talk a little bit about mental health yet again on this podcast. You'd think we'd get sick of it, but we can't stress enough how much we need to bring it up. So
it's honestly, looking at the statistics and shit of it, it should be a fucking epidemic.
it should be. It should be on the level of COVID when COVID started, but it's not, which just keeps begging the question, why?
That's right.
I mean, fuck's sake, two of us here, one of us here has been diagnosed with a multitude of things, depression being the highest of them. Well, not a multitude.
No, just depression, anxiety. I did get tested for bipolar disorder, but
No dice there.
well, it was sort of the way the psychologist explained to me was a normal person, they're happy or their medium is here. He goes, you float about here. So when you bring yourself up to this happiness, it's almost euphoric. You're like, holy shit, I feel like Superman. It's like someone taking MDMA, which MDMA releases a big hit of dopamine in your system and makes you feel 6.5 foot tall and bulletproof and think you can beat the world.
Yeah.
In a grand scheme of things, yes, it's you versus the world, so you can beat the world. But when you come down off MDMA, for instance, your dopamine and serotonin levels, they drop. So your body didn't have to make this chemical for the last 24, 48 hours. And now it's got to go into overdrive to keep you back up. That's where, if I used to, working Monday to Friday, get on the beers, Friday and Saturday night, would bring me up to a normal level. And I'd just do stupid shit out of the, randomness of it, We had a fire at our place when we used to live together. We had a fire and we had a couple of pallets and we just had to break the pallets down to put them in the fire. And none of us looked for ways to fucking break these pallets. So me decided to, go head first into the pallets and nearly break my fucking neck in the meantime. But, just stupid things like that because that was my feeling of euphoric.
Yeah.
That was, everyone else would be, oh, this is just me feeling happy. That was me after a few drinks loosening up going, wow, I'm on top of the fucking world.
Cloud 9, what the fuck's that? I'm beyond that.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next day, that's why they say alcohol is a depressant. It's because the next day you feel like absolute fucking shit.
Yep.
And for me, it was, the alcohol made me feel so great that my body didn't have to make these chemicals because I got it artificially. And then the next day, they're in overdrive trying to make it. They can't keep up. So that's when shit would go downhill. So,
But that's not the...
in a sense, that's obviously a bit off topic, but that's what the psychologist, or psychiatrist, whoever it was, that I spoke to, that said, no, you don't have bipolar, you're just average. You just need a way to control your emotions.
Yeah.
So
with the whole talk of mental health, though, with Trent's profession, he is probably one of the better people we can get on at this point in time to discuss it, because you see it every day. You see all forms of mental health.
Yeah, I work in I work in mental health, out in an acute setting in the community.
So, Trent, what does mental health mean to you?
Personal well-being. You know, it's about being fit and being happy.
Now, what type of
life to function activities that that gives you meaning in life? Yeah.
So, but when you say fit, do you mean physically and mentally fit?
Well, physically can add to it, but mentally,
Yeah. Well, there's always that discussion that being physically fit helps the correct chemicals be released into your brain.
Mind-body connection.
Yeah. So, in a way, when you tell someone to be fit when you're working in mental health, you're kind of telling them to be both, aren't you?
Yeah.
In a sense.
Of course. But I guess I'm talking about mental fitness. Yeah. Like be able to do normal functions and, in life, enjoy tasks, enjoy things, not being so depressed, not being all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, that's always the best way to go about it, especially with where you work, because you see all forms of it. You see it from depression to anxiety to bipolar to borderline personality disorder,
schizophrenia. I mean, there's a multitude of fucking everything.
And without you, there's only so much Jordan and I can cover. Whereas you have a lot more in-depth knowledge of the task and of the what's the fuck topic of the topic. Thank you. Fuck me dead.
Trent's got the first-hand experience.
Yeah, and like I said, you see it on a day-to-day basis. Even on your days off, you probably see it because you are a mental health professional. Mental health nurse. Yeah. So even in your day-to-day, my question is, do you see it just in your normal days off, just in people that you pass on the street or working?
If you're in Woolies or something, can you tell?
Yeah, I guess you have particular assessment skills that and we do what we call as a mental state examination. So we're going through their appearance, their behaviour, the way they talk, speech, mood. How they feel, affect, how I think they feel, and then their thought content, their insight, their perception. Do they have any hallucinations? Do they have any auditory hallucinations, visual? Their cognition, Are they orientated to time and place, and we do, so they're some of the stuff that we go through on a daily basis. Do I walk around town if I see someone looking in a bit of distress, I'll think, okay, this person might be going through this and that, but you never really know until you deep further in and unpack it, but that's, like I said, don't unpack it outside, but when I'm in the setting that I'm in, you do it because you train and do it safely.
With a lot of your patients, try not to break doctor-patient confidentiality.
Definitely. I'm completely aware of that. So I'll talk very general. I can't talk about any particular, but I'll just talk very... Yeah.
That's why I'm trying not to ask certain questions about any of your patients, because one, you're not supposed to, and two, even if you could, not our place to discuss it, really. But what I was going to ask is, so when it comes to diagnosis, do you sit down and do a deep analysis of this person's behavioural patterns, their thought process? Do you go through the whole thing?
So normally, like the treating teams, the psychiatrist and the treating team will go through all that. But yes, we go through that as well. We go through, their diagnosis and Like mainly we're looking at their mental state and the risk assessment. So,
yeah, right. So when I first, found out I was in a bit of trouble, was obviously back in 2015. Anyone that's heard our first couple of episodes would know. So my thing was, I went to the GP, said, "Hey, look, I'm not all right. Can you put me in a mental health plan?" He sent me up to the hospital where I was at the front of your ward, at like inpatients or whatever.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a psychiatrist there.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say or trying to ask is if I was deemed too high of a risk by said psychiatrist that done that risk assessment on me initially, would they have admitted me straight away?
Yes.
Or what would be the process from?
So where are you, in your GP or?
No. I'm at the front of your facility.
Okay.
So when I back in 2015 when I went to my GP first, then sent me up to the hospital, the mental ward at the hospital.
Yeah.
That's when I got assessed by a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
If that psychiatrist had initially, what's the word I'm looking for?
Deemed you too high risk.
Yeah, if she deemed me too high risk to go back into the general public, would they have said, no, you're too much of a risk, we're going to admit you here and now? Or does that generally happen after someone's had a suicidal attempt?
So I guess what happens is if you're worried about someone in any hospital in Australia, there's normally a number you call is 1300 mental health. That's one way, and that will, you're worried about this person, and you'll talk to like a acute care staff member. The other thing would be if you're worried, okay, just say you're with, I don't know, your mum or someone and just worried or whatever about, I don't know, about Bob, they would take this person, Bob, to ED. So that's the first point in call, they'll go to ED. So ACT would recommend present to ED. And then ED, like the psychiatric doctors all that will come do an assessment, along with the ED, consultant, the emergency consultant, and then they'd make a plan of whether this person, whether they can manage it right now, sort things out in the meantime, or this person requires, an admission or put under the Act, under the Mental Health Act, of that relevant state or territory,
My biggest question, though, as someone who works in mental health, what do you say is the most common, I guess is the word, most common mental health diagnosis you come across?
Come across a range of different stuff, but like obviously your general depression and anxiety is fairly common, but I guess I'm at an acute setting, so I see a lot of schizophrenia or different other forms of schizophrenia, bipolar, but probably more schizophrenia, but of course those underlying depression and anxiety is probably most, but mainly schizophrenia. It's an umbrella question, but probably, I see a lot of schizophrenia,
Would you say that it's, I guess the word, terrifying sometimes?
I don't really find it terrifying. I don't really see it in that way. I work at that work and I really enjoy it. And I get a lot of, helping people and stuff. And I don't really find it terrifying. It's not for everyone, but it's some people might find that, but I never.
I guess I worded that wrong. The amount of people that you see, do you think it's a bit terrifying how many people you see come through, that you treat, that you speak to? When you think about it, did you ever really expect to come across as many patients as you do?
I thought, I would. There's not as many people as... there's a lot more than I thought,
Yeah.
I didn't think the hospital would be so...
Packed.
Yeah.
So...
As I said, there's only so much I can say, but I didn't realise, in general, how packed it is, There's a mass demand, pretty much, like I said, general terms, one goes in...
One goes out.
One goes out, one goes in. One goes out, one goes in, That's just that's a whole health service. One goes in, one goes out, one goes in. Two go in, two go out, two go... it's just the way it is.
It's like it's a consistent flow.
Yeah.
It's never ending.
Yeah. So no 2 days are the same for you then.
No, that's right. Yeah.
As you know, I don't know too much about borderline personality disorder. You know, bipolar. Obviously, you seem and schizophrenia. Obviously, you seem the very far extent. You know, if someone is in a mental health ward, you see the worst of the worst effects.
Yes. It's acute inpatient. Yeah.
So it's
acute setting.
They're either a risk to themselves or a risk to those around them if they're in that sort of setting. So obviously we can start from 100, I guess, and then work our way back to 0 with how things you can manage your mental health and all that sort of stuff. But for the time being, I want to keep up here at 100. When you get faced with someone like borderline personality disorder, bipolar, and schizophrenia, in your own words, can you explain those 3 conditions to myself?
Yeah, sure. So, okay. So we'll start with schizophrenia. So schizophrenia is like a thought disorder illness. So basically it's your perceptual disturbances, your perception. So it could be auditory, so you're hearing voices, auditory hallucinations, or you might be feeling visual hallucinations, or it might be paranoia that someone
is constantly watching
you down the road. Yeah, it could be, the exact idea of where it's come from is we don't fully understand how it's, but there's a lot of patterns. So one is like the organic, I always find that word hard.
Manifestation.
That's the word. Yeah. It's very difficult for that. Well, yeah, that's one. The other one is like that natural sort of, and then you've got another one that's what do you call it? Drug induced.
Yeah.
So you got drug induced psychosis. Then you got like family. So it might come in family. Passed down in genes, and so that's all different situations.
Yeah, right. So that's schizophrenia.
And a relapse, like a relapse. There might be a stress wall there that's like made this, like manifestation appear again.
Yeah, right. So I guess on the most extreme scale would be someone that's been sexually assaulted at a young age, that they could develop schizophrenia because maybe they were walking down a dark alley and got grabbed from behind, or whatever scenario is, that they could have that constant paranoia, and that could lead to it.
I guess you got those psychosocial stresses.
Yeah.
So like, you know what I mean? Okay, you might be finding, like there might be past trauma, there might be issues going on at home, there might be things that happened in the past that all just sort of accumulate like a circle, and it all just comes together.
Like a big snowball.
Yeah, snowball, and it becomes this
thing that just blows up.
It blows up and just happens. And that sort of context could also be described in bipolar in a way, but like bipolar is more a mood disorder, so it's like highs and lows.
Instead of a thought process, it's just the moods.
So you can have a really low mood, which is like type 2, and then you got type 1, it's like
really high mood.
It's a high, like mania. It's like, let's go, let's spend like 300 grand right now of my savings, or I'm not saying that I have that, but but I mean, like, let's just go and spend that on I don't know, Harley Davidson motorbikes, and I'll be broke, and that's okay because we've got to do this right now.
So would that?
I'm talking about extreme case,
Would that sort of lead into, I guess, gambling to an extent?
Oh, of course, you're making very, very poor
rash.
decisions. And
Yeah.
it's a really sad thing because it's
You put, $500,000 on this 1,000-to-1 horse.
yeah.
I'm just going to do it just because. And the reason why I say that is I felt like I've been in that similar situation where you just go, fuck it. In my head, I've just went, fuck it. I don't care what the outcome is.
Yeah.
I'm going to take fucking my partner or my friends at the time or whatever. Let's go out on a night in the town. Let's spend $1,000. Let's get some strippers. Let's all go get drunk. Let's all go get lap dances. Like, not thinking of the repercussions, but in your head, you're in this. I'm going to keep saying euphoric, but you are in this headspace of nothing will hurt you.
Yeah.
No, there is no repercussions to anything you decide.
I think in life we all get a bit, I don't know, impulsive. I guess some people on the board, but I mean, like you really want to do stuff now, but like I think bipolar, it's like a genuine mood disorder, like where it is a. Like I think we all in life did need a risk. Like, okay, I really want that. I don't know, new
Sports
Cowboys
car,
or sports car. And you're weighing up the options. I think that mood like you're just going out and
Just doing it.
just going.
And there's
with no conscience, with no, it's just like.
And there's no other thought about anything else.
Yeah,
I just want that and that only.
Well, I don't know, a person you may, and you're thinking about it, and you're just going to go and do it, and. To the point of what I just mentioned. Hopefully that helps.
Yep. What about
BPD?
Yeah.
Borderline personality disorder. It's So borderline personality disorder. Normally, they only diagnose it until the age of 18, where they have a significant amount of time to bring the traits. But borderline personality disorder is, or it's also called emotional unstable person, EUPD, emotional unstable personality disorder. Basically, someone has these traits or these behaviours that is sort of detrimental to their own life or others. It's actually it's mainly brought on by can be brought on by previous trauma or something that's happened in the past. That they're not fully sure, but that's the link between it. It's mainly present amongst young girls, and basically, I don't mean to be rude or judgmental, but like just sabotage things when you're highly emotional, a highly emotional state. You just sort of, I don't know, like sabotage something that's going well for you, and sort of bring attention, unnecessary attention. Like some people will say it's like attention seeking, but it's actually a really sad condition that's actually quite detrimental to the person because they've gone through either trauma or and it's very much misunderstood, and it's actually quite ruin someone's reputation. And you know what I mean? I don't think it's fully understood in the community where normally what you call dialectical behavioural therapy, it's like skill-based therapy, so that's a normal therapy so there's no real medication look, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm not, but normally there's no real medication that is for borderline personality disorder. So it's all sort of like DBT, dialectical behavioural therapy, which is all about skill-based. You're working with a particular therapist and building those skills to combat your tendencies of, self-sabotage or self-harm. Like self-harm, you may not have the intent of actually making an attempt or anything like that, but you've got the scars there just so someone can ask you about them. And you bring that you bring that attention to yourself. Right. Makes sense.
Yeah, easy. It's actually quite easy to understand once it's broken down like that. So, thanks, Trent. Because every time you hear borderline personality disorder,
I always
the
think of the
general public-
movie Split.
Yeah, the general public always goes to straight up. You've got like two people in your head. There's you, and then there's another one that's got their own name. And
That wasn't me. That was Patricia.
yeah, I'd actually recently done a little bit of study into stuff like that personally.
Yeah.
Not to the point where I could say I know this and that because I know jack shit, but there's always these individuals in the world that claim that it was another person that made them do it, but that person doesn't exist. So the people that are doing an investigation into it usually find that that person seems to appear to this person that's claiming they're real when this person is alone, vulnerable, basically stuck looking at four walls. So they start hearing this other voice in their head. And I guess then that'd probably be like a very different form to something like BPD. BPD sounds like something completely different. But the general consensus of the public is BPD is this. There are two personalities in you. And they have their own, they're both extremely different. One could be gentle, one could be a psychopath.
Yeah, it's like the old cartoons or whatever. You've got an angel on one shoulder and devil on the other.
Except in this case, it's very much personified
Yeah.
in this person's actions, behavioural instincts, and it's a frightening fucking thing.
I think the best way to combat is to be to people with I'm not talking about other people with other complex diagnosis around that, but I'm talking about you sort of got to be you still have to remain kind and compassionate toward them, but setting appropriate boundaries where all these different things don't come into fruition of becoming.
You don't want the worst of someone to come to fruition.
Yeah, well,
Because
one way,
but fuck, that's my train of thought. Damn it, she's gone. I've been left behind on this.
So is there any other illnesses, struggles that we haven't covered yet that you generally see on a day-to-day basis?
Actually,
there's go on.
Yeah. Would you, out of the ones that we haven't discussed, maybe pick one that you feel the most passionate about, that you feel needs to be talked about more?
It's hard to just put an umbrella on because when you come when you work, it's sort of like you see a whole lot of different presentations of different things. I see a lot of drug-induced sort of psychosis and different things like that. But I find like that catatonia, depression, when someone is not eating or drinking or communicating at all, quite interesting.
So what sort of drugs are these people taking? Do you know?
I'm going to go with ice usually might be one.
Oh, what's that for? For that?
Your drug-induced psychosis.
Oh, okay. So drug-induced psychosis. So not catatonic depression. So,
Methamphetamine,
in the community, like regional communities, like ice is the big one, and THC. They're your big ones. Maybe a bit of MDA, or all that, but it's mainly. It seems to be ice. Like methamphetamines is really the big one, and like the synthetic THC. You're not the. You know what I mean?
Not the THC that's in a cannabis plant.
No.
But the synthetic sort of stuff. Yeah.
Stuff that can probably kill you faster.
Oh yeah, definitely. But so when you're talking about a catatonic
depression,
yes.
So it's someone with like a severe depressive episode, and they become and this may not even be related to drugs at all. It may just be related to like trauma, or a whole lot of different things that. I mean, a severe depression. I mean, they're not eating, they're not drinking, and they're not even talking. Maybe it's selective mutism, but they're just totally
shut down,
and they're just not even wanting to move, anything like that. Yeah, so
sort of like the lights are on, but no one's home.
Yeah, pretty much. So
except it's an extreme case of it.
Yeah, but normally they try at least multiple 2 or 3 types of, like I said, I'm not a psychiatrist, but like they tried 2 or 3 types of medications, and they'll proceed to, depending on consent, different things like that, they'll go to ECT, electroconvulsive therapy.
I've heard about that, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it?
Yeah. So I do. I deliver. So I'm quite involved with that a lot.
Yeah.
So basically,
what is it?
So electroconvulsive therapy is basically, to put it in the simplest terms, it's basically giving someone a
small electric shock.
Yeah, electric shock, basically, for them to have a therapeutic seizure. For them to, and that therapeutic seizure over, say a particular number of treatments will give them, some sort of therapeutic, value.
So what sort of shock are we talking about? Because I'm sort of picturing getting hit by a taser gun sort of shock, where you get hit by a taser, your whole body freezes, and you're laying on the ground sort of having a fit.
Yeah, so it's sort of like it's to give you a 30-second
jolt.
A small to moderate seizure. So it's not a large fit, and the person's totally sedated, anesthetic, so they're not feeling a single thing. With ECT, there's a lot that there's stuff they know, but there's a lot they don't know how it properly works. But literature says there's no but that basically it does work for particular people with that particularly severe depression, maybe a little bit of hypo, a bit of mania in different cases. Like I said, I'm not a psychiatrist, but basically it does work for these severe cases, and they reckon around about 70% works for. And I've seen some tremendous progress on people who are totally not eating or drinking, and they've come together, and they're functioning in life. It's not a permanent fix. It's not something that's going to go, okay, here you go, and forever. Obviously it's going to be followed up by other medication or.
Would you put it in the crudest of ways?
Or they might need some more treatment. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of another way. Could it be like jump starting a flat battery in a car?
That is exactly what I was about to say. The comparison between the two. You jump start a flat battery in a car to get from point A to point B, but then from there on you have to try to fix that problem. Yeah. That is what this is. You're trying to basically jump start a person, and then afterwards you give them the next step in their treatment to bring them back to being 100% functional, or as close to 100% functional as you can.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah,
I was going to say it's a crude way to describe it, but that's probably for
layman's terms. That's just to me. That's what it sounded like when you're saying that.
And it's not like what it was 100 years ago. You know what I mean? Where it was totally different. Like today, we have a modern day, technology, and on one day, where it's
facilities.
And obviously, you just don't give someone that. First, I know I've mentioned probably numerous times to me. Like I said, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm someone who works heavily in mental health with experience. As mental health nurses say, I'm talking on my base. Experiences.
No, that's right.
So, with all the patients you see, would you say you're an advocate for mental health as a whole in Australia?
For sure. Yeah.
Just want to butt in before we just jump off topic. ECT. When you were just explaining it to me, it doesn't really sound very humane.
In ways, it's not. That's it is, but it's not what it was. But the whole point is for that type of medication, not medication, sorry, that sort of therapy, normally you try other medications first, and it's sort of like the last
resort.
Last resort.
I don't know why. I just keep picturing someone getting electrocuted in a chair.
Yeah.
And it just makes me sick. Obviously, I know it's not what happens. You know,
it's not like that.
I'm obviously making a mountain out of a molehill, but
but all the movies and stuff, it makes it like, I don't know, you can probably name a few movies like back in the old days, and you just see, oh, geez, this is full, but it really isn't. Yeah, like that.
It's not like they're taking a cap with a wet sponge and strapping them to a chair.
Yeah, I know, but when you say ECT or electric convulsive therapy, it's just what it sounds like. Is you're sitting there, you're strapped to a chair, you're numb as anything, and you're sitting there twitching because they're trying to jumpstart you.
I would imagine that the voltage they use would be nothing compared to a taser, but it would, because it's prolonged periods of time, it would probably amount to the amount of shock that you'd get from a taser. It'd be nowhere near an electric chair.
No.
Nowhere near it. In fact, what I imagined it is, that tiny shock you can get sometimes just from random electrical appliances that are starting to malfunction. It's a tiny one. You're like, cunt. You just sit there. That's what I'm thinking it is. It's that type of volt for that amount of time, which that can't kill you.
It's sort of like licking a 9-volt battery, I guess.
Let's not go that far.
Licking a 9-volt battery, it doesn't give you a shock, but then it gives you just a little bit of a shock on your tongue. And
it tingles you, basically.
So
it's like tickling your balls, but with electricity.
Let's not.
I have to. It's been a very serious episode so far. You have to insert that tiny little bit of humour. But now all I want is just to get my balls tickled. Take the finger out of the asshole and stop touching the balls. But back to the series.
But it is fascinating. But like I said, you should only. I get it. Yeah, it is invasive, but
it's a literal last resort. It's something that you don't even want to put patients.
It can be lifesaving for something. Yeah. It can be absolutely revolutionary for that person. It could be totally. It could totally.
Transform
it's
life.
It's not for everyone. And it's only really when a lot of different things regarding severe depression is not working. When you try all these things and
My thing, I'm very interested to see what it looks like from that patient's point of view when they are at that point of complete shutdown. What do they see? What do they hear? Do they just hear nothing and see nothing? It's as if they're stuck in a giant dark room.
They're totally sedated.
So they just don't. No, not when they're at that really bad stage of depression.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Like, I want to know what they see. Is it almost like they're in a completely blacked out room that is soundproof? Is that what it's like to them?
Some people are totally slowed down in their cognitive processing, where they're just like I said, that catatonia. They're just sort of staring into space, and just totally poverty of thought, and just totally,
Because you see, when I picture that of what I just described, that gives me fucking anxiety and makes me want to have a panic attack.
Or just the continuous thought of, sorry to go
on that sort of
topics, but had a constant thought, or you know what I mean, and all these other things are just not.
Yeah.
Working.
I don't think I was close to shutting down, but I think I was pretty much there.
You were almost at, the black room?
Yeah. Like, I'd be asleep at night. I wouldn't even be asleep, but I'd be laying in my bed at night, just thinking, I don't want to be here. There's razor blades in the kitchen. There's knives in the kitchen. I could just fucking stab me jugular and be out in 30 seconds. Like,
just be done with it.
Yeah, you're not physically in pain, but you feel like you are in a vice, and the vice is just getting squashed and squashed and squashed. And that's what it feels like, because you're not in physical pain, but you just want it to stop. You just want to stop hurting.
Yeah.
And that's what it can be is it's not a physical pain, but it feels like everything just hurts. You after maybe a couple of hours of broken sleep at night, you wake up and you just imagine your cat, but probably 30 kilos heavy, a big fucking floof ball, on your chest. And you try not to wake it up when you get up. That's sort of what it feels like. You have no motivation to eat, drink, sleep, go to the toilet. Like, you're just like, I don't even feel like going to the toilet. I'll just piss in my bed.
Ugh.
Like, you have literally no, or I didn't have no care in the world for anything else. Your whole day, you literally thought, I'm just going to fucking kill myself. I don't want to be in this this mental pain anymore. And, you know, that sort of, I was even like that when I was still going to the gym. I went harder at the gym because at least I could put myself in pain. I could feel, you know, physical pain. But there was days there, I would literally just sit out the back and just stare into the fence, not have anything on my mind. My mind would be fucking blank. And I would just stare at the fence. I could stare at the fence for hours. Just nothing's going on inside. You can't process getting up. You know, you just sit there and there is nothing going on. It's not black, but I found sort of, you know, that sort of hue that comes over the city just before the sun sets. So I'm talking like 15, 20 minutes just before the sun sets, how it's sort of like that orangey hue. Yeah. So it's not black, but there's this, the whole world just feel it literally, if you could imagine like hell in a cartoon, that's what it sort of feels like, is just a yellowy sort of black hue, and you actually feel more comfortable in the darkness because it's essentially what you know. And if you stay there too long, it's what you become used to and accustomed to. It's you can just sit there. You get comfortable in the darkness. And I'll tell you what I did for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I made peace with the darkness, but you made sort of like it was your only friend, the darkness. You were comfortable in it.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what, this isn't so bad. And that's where I think another side of depression sort of not kicks in, but was like, I've beat you down into this room in fucking hell. I want to keep you here, so I'm going to make it as comfortable for you as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And you make friends with that darkness and you just stay there. It's not until, you know, for me, you woke up one morning and you're like, the earth smells better, or you take a sip of your coffee. In my instance was Red Bull, and it just tasted different. It just didn't taste like sugary water.
Yeah.
You know, all the foods I ate literally all tasted the same. I could put fucking any sauces on.
You get no more enjoyment in life.
No, you had no. I had no enjoyment, and you know, obviously, don't smoke cigarettes. I'm going to preface that now, but no enjoyment in smoking a cigarette. No enjoyment of drinking. You know, the only reason why a lot of people drink when they're depressed is to put them to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, no enjoyment in eating because everything just tasted like bland asshole. You know, you could try sparkling water instead of fucking normal water and it would still taste like shit.
It still tastes like water.
You know, there was nothing exciting about fucking anything. You know, it could be your fucking niece's birthday, your nephew's birthday, your fucking kid's birthday, your wife's birthday, your husband's birthday, whatever. Could be the most special person in your fucking life. Could be their birthday. And you literally do not have the cognitive ability to process emotion, to say, happy birthday, dear. You know, there's nothing to it. You know, you went out and bought this present a week earlier because you knew it was the right thing to do, and it fucking just about killed you to do it because you didn't want to go out anywhere or do anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess that's the sort of world you live in when the lights are on but there's no one home.
And you seem to be like you're a good place, like, and how do you sort of the steps you made to get where you are now?
Oh, well, it's been 7 years in the making, Trent. Oh, if not longer, you know. I've had symptoms of depression since before I was 16.
Yeah.
You know, I can still remember, I think I was like 14 and a half at the time. slitting my wrist in the shower. Like, you know, that's what's that? Fucking 14 years.
Yeah, 14 years ago now.
Concerning,
You know, it's of fucking hell.
Yeah.
But
You didn't have the easiest childhood, though.
yeah, exactly right. You know, and I actually sort of thought, I haven't done any research on it, but are mental health conditions hereditary?
Can be, yes, can be. You know, like it can be passed down, like schizophrenia. There is strong evidence to suggest that
It's hereditary.
it is hereditary. Yeah, like there are particular, you know.
Traits that get passed down.
Yeah, traits that get passed down, particular, like your proper like schizophrenia and all that. Yeah, it does can get passed down. There is strong evidence. Yeah, like, there's a lot they don't know, but that is a very strong link.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so you know that answers your question. Lights are on, but there's no one home. But it's like there's a huge. Imagine trying to look through the world in a black and white filter. You know, like a Snapchat, Instagram filter that's black and white. Yeah, it's like that through your eyes.
Well, I mean, that sort of doesn't answer the question because you were still semi-functional. You weren't happy, you were fucking nowhere near it. But you were still going about your day-to-day life because you basically had nothing else to do.
I was existing. I wasn't living.
Yeah.
I was existing.
But
I said, I wasn't fully shut down.
No. But the thing is, I'm wondering what it looks like for those that are shut down. The image I have of these types of patients of mental health, when it comes to catatonic depression, is they're sitting there in a chair, very similar to what we're sitting in now, just a wooden chair, and they're just sitting facing a corner. That's it. I want to know, because what they could see might be different to what you saw, because you could still get up. Sure, you could stare at the fence forever, but eventually you would get back up.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas I'm guessing with these catatonic depression patients, from what I understand they can't do that. They can't move. They have to be moved by the orderlies because they physically cannot move. It's like their muscles is also shut down. So what I was meaning by that is what you saw could be completely different because you didn't get to that stage. Sounds like you were fucking close, and that's terrifying what you went through. I would never be able to do that. Also,
anxiety disorders. When you see that hereditary, sorry to go off top, probably anxiety disorders. Someone is in like total, you know.
Well, that's
always on. I mean, not just the point of just normal worry. I mean, just like totally in the point of just continuously panicking about things that probably really in the real it's not really necessary to be
you blow about things straight out of proportion.
So the way that my experience with anxiety, if it's a day off, they're the worst ones for it when you start a day with a worry on your mind. Because the way that it when I was at the worst stage of it, it was I'd wake up worried about one thing, but that one thing would then lead to something else I'd worry about. And it's a whole cycle, the entire day. And every time I get worried about something, it just gets worse. Because let's say this first one, it's like I'm worried about my brother losing his job. We'll go with an example. At this moment, I'm not, and I'm not even thinking about it back then either. We'll go with a scenario. You're worried about a family member losing their job and becoming financially unstable.
Yeah.
You're worried about them. The worst case scenario doesn't pop into your head straight away. It does get there eventually. But then you move on to the next one. You can't help it. You move on to the next thing you're worried about, which is another loved one. And you get to that worst case scenario faster. And throughout the whole day, you just keep getting to these worst case scenarios faster. This is just explaining my worst day with it. And by the end of the day, you're a fucking panicking mess, locked in your room, trying not to let everyone see that you are about to cry from the amount of worry you're going through.
You think COVID's caused us a lot more anxiety? I
Well, we keep getting worried about being locked inside again. We keep getting worried about what the world's gonna look like in a few years.
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I don't think that. How can I word this? I don't think the COVID-19 virus has caused anyone to worry more than what they should.
Yeah.
I think the misinformation that is out there has caused people a lot more worry than it should.
But that's the thing, a lot of this misinformation wouldn't exist without COVID-19 existing too.
Oh, well, it still would.
Just not to the extent.
You look at the Flat Earth Society, you look at the chemtrail conspiracy, like all what people are, a lot of people are worried about are conspiracy theories. And if it wasn't for the COVID-19 virus, we would still call a lot of these people nut jobs for having these conspiracy theories. But now people read this article that looks like a peer-reviewed article that actually is just an opinion piece that someone read on fucking youhose.org.
Listen here, you hoes.
Oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have read this opinion piece, and because it's well scripted, they're like, fuck, that's a peer-reviewed article. I'm going to share this on TikTok. Now, it's absolutely horseshit that people are allowed to do this. And to a degree, TikTok has made a change in what misinformation gets put on their platform. But yeah, it's COVID-19's brought a light to a lot of the worries that the world has had. But I don't think it's a primary cause of it.
Yeah.
We're now in 2022, and a lot of people are still using COVID as, I'm going to use the term very loosely, excuses.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't get your package on time because of COVID.
Yeah.
You can't have this because of COVID. You can't do this because of COVID. And you just look at it and you go, well, surely we're past that point, are we? Aren't we? Like, I understand, technically speaking, we're still in a global pandemic. I understand that. But I think at this point in time, it's been 2 years, nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
That COVID has been in our lives. And I, for one, am just over talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, don't get me wrong, COVID sort of did bring a light to a lot of different factors. For a lot of extroverted people that recharge their batteries by being a social butterfly and having to stay at home and not do all these activities, yes, I do think it caused some mental health issues.
Yeah.
A lot of people losing their jobs.
And it may have, I'm not saying it maybe has for every individual, but it may have had regressed some people's social skills. I know, you know what I mean? They haven't been able to practice as much and go out and, because they've been having to isolate and all these restrictions, But I think they will naturally, depending on the individual, I just think that period is sort of, I don't know, maybe people with Asperger's or different things like that, when they find it, that period, maybe they were practicing those skills and now they're not practicing those skills. And
because they can't sort of thing.
Yeah, and now they're sort of back where
they started from, back to square one.
Yeah, maybe back to square one, but it's always manageable and you can always work forward.
The worst part about it is what you said about these people making these fake articles. It's well worded. It just makes it sound like that the ones with the best vernacular, the best knowledge and know-how of how to use the words and use them correctly to scare people really brought them out more than if COVID never existed. And what that does is it causes a rift between, as harsh as it sounds, the uneducated and the educated. The uneducated trust nothing from the educated. Whereas the educated see all these big words and shit, and they're more easily fooled. because they see these words, they understand this, whereas the uneducated, a credit to them, a lot of them don't fall for a lot of this shit, but the ones that are smart when it comes to how they use the English language, but they don't know the topic. As soon as they see something about a topic they don't understand, and it's worded well, and it makes sense to them, they believe it. But in saying that as well, there's always there's the other opposite as well. There's the educated see this shit and they go, oh, that's fucking fake. But then the uneducated read it and they go, I don't understand a fucking word, but that's true.
It's all about the source, peer-reviewed articles, you know, like people who have dedicated their lives to particular, you know what I mean? And there's other sources that are just sources that are, you know...
well, see, with COVID-19, you have... You know, epidemiologists, you have biologists, and whoever else, I guess, for lack of better words. You know, you've got all these people that have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on degrees that they've studied for something that interests them. Yeah. You know, because they're not doing it out of the love of it. Well, they're doing it out of the love of it, but they're not doing...
Absolutely love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Totally
focused on it. You know, some people go on to be, you know, have a hobby as NBA players. Some people have hobbies of being Twitch streamers and all this sort of shit. But you know, will you discredit someone for playing badly on Twitch or a college NBA player because they're doing what they love? You know, you got this biologist or epidemiologist, you know, they got really put under the spotlight and under the fucking microscope for every word that they said over the course of the last 2 years. So if they said one thing out of line, fucking media would twist it, and these nut job conspiracy theorists would twist it as well. Yeah, against them.
Yeah, who was the chief of the US?
I know who you're talking about.
Infectious diseases. I'll just look him up.
Well, it's not Fauci, is it?
Yeah, Fauci.
Well done, Anthony Fauci.
Yeah, wasn't he? Isn't he under an intense investigation right now?
Well, all I know from him, he's basically a guy like he went into the job like he met sometime in like the early '80s or '80s period, and basically, yeah, he's deemed as one of like someone who's excelled at his thing. Infectious diseases, particularly, you know, the public health sort of way, and he's basically, you know what I mean, he's gone through AIDS, Ebola, you know, all the major infectious diseases around the whole world. He's been through the whole thing, you know, and, I mean, I think he's now in his, like, late, he might be even 80 now, you know, and I mean, like, he's been in the job since, like, you know what I mean? I think he's about to retire soon, but they're probably, I don't know, like, what's going on with that? Yeah.
So, from what I'm able to understand of it, a lot of people are calling out Fauci, I don't know how to fucking pronounce his name, because he gave out some misinformation at some point during the pandemic. And it led to some people making the wrong choices, and I'm not sure of the validity of this statement, but people have lost lives over this information.
Yeah, well, okay.
But that's the thing, I don't know the validity of it. I didn't look into him as much.
I've always found him to be always on the money, you know?
Like, that's the thing. When this whole thing started...
Okay, let's just look at Americans for a minute. They started eating Tide Pods. They got Donald Trump as president and started drinking fucking hand sanitizer. Donald Trump said hydroxychloroquine will cure your fucking... that's COVID-19. Joe Rogan fucking said ivermectin, which is a horse and pig antiparasitic. So when you got a fucking tapeworm or something in a fucking pig or a horse, yeah, ivermectin will kill that tapeworm. Not for a fucking COVID-19 virus. Now, there's just 4 people there. And these Americans fucking hung on to these people like they were fucking gods. Right? Now, us in Australia, and I can only speak to me and the people around me, but those 4 people, I dare say, not one of us looked at that and went, oh, he might be on the money. No, we looked at that and said, you're a fucking idiot.
I mean, I remember when the Tide Pods thing started. I remember when the bleach thing started years ago. And I believe that started in America too. Of course, nowadays people use the bleach term in a go kill yourself, drink some bleach. But years back when we were going through high school, it was a thing to drink bleach.
Yeah, it was a fucking, what's the name?
It was a trend. It was a trend, and it was a fucking stupid one at that. We even said it was a stupid trend back then.
Yeah.
We joked about it more, but nowadays we hear that type of shit and we're like, what the fuck? The Tide Pod one drove us up the wall. I know that.
Yeah, we're a bit older for that. But, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the Western media, I guess, does come from America. And that's where it shits me to tears with that, with COVID-19, is there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of misinformation. So, who are you going to trust? Fucking Russell, that's a forklift operator that's done a fucking Cert 3 in warehousing that dropped out at grade 10, or someone on in the WHO panel, the World Health Organization, the ones that everyone peer reviews and everyone reads the articles that they come out.
But Dr. Fauci's been the director of the National Infectious Diseases, and I think allergies is at the end of it too. Since 1984. Yeah, that's a freaking really long time.
Oh, yeah.
38 years.
Well, I mean, the top of, like, you got Australian Health, you know, like what will they call it, the Chief Health Officer. Like, he's been that in America for, like...
Yeah. Well, another thing about the World Health Organization as well, remember there's been a lot of controversies going around since COVID came out, related to all these health experts and who.
Yeah. Well, who went to China and said, okay, let's investigate this so-called fucking lab where this come from? Found nothing.
There's a lot going on in the world that to this day, we still don't understand. We don't know everything. Like, there's a lot of things that we see, read, and hear that we just kind of just have to take at face value and decide if it's trustworthy or not. That's the scariest part. Even in this world, day and age, where a lot of information is easily accessible on Google, what's the truth behind it? We don't know. We don't even know if it's 100% fact. For all we know, we read all these articles that we've thought were real and true for years, and they're all fucking full of shit. But that's just my conspiracy theory talk. My TED talk is over. Carry on.
Well, to pick it apart, with that being said, should we believe anything that happened in history?
Exactly. There's a lot we don't understand. There's a lot we don't know. We weren't there. We don't know anything about the American Civil War. We don't know anything about
the Cold War.
We don't know anything. We weren't around in World War II, Vietnam. We weren't there. Our generation, a lot of our generation are very clueless, to put it bluntly. And I'm not saying we're stupid.
Well,
it's just that, personally, from what I've seen and understood of our own generation, we couldn't care.
Well, my grandfather, he passed away in March this year. Yeah, he lived to 95. And, you know what I mean, like, he basically, you know what I mean, I won't go too much about the Queen, whatever, but basically he saw, from a young age all the way up. I'm not going to get into Monaco or anything like that, but basically the point is like, these elderly people, like, they seem to be all, these ones who went through the World War II, they're all now sort of passing away, and it's really it's sad, you know, because they've been around forever, you know what I mean, and they've done their thing and been really strong and stoic, and you know their own humor, their own humor, you know what I mean, and these people are now
they're passing on.
Yeah,
their time has come.
Okay, I'll try and spin this in a different light. So I want to try and pick your brain on it.
Yeah, go on.
How do you know that the Jeffrey Dahmer series was real?
I don't.
How do you know that what was that other book that you read about, old mate?
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting into serial killers. All right, let's go.
But that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
How do you know that anything is real
But
if you yourself have not experienced it firsthand?
I know. That's the problem.
But I guess why I brought him up is because he would pass stories on to me about all these different things that happened.
My nan passed stories
1930s and 1940s, which, you know what I mean, it was just crazy. And then he would know people that were born in the 19th century, born in the 1800s. We know people that, you know, was alive. That's crazy, I think. You know, it's amazing.
Well, see, my nan shared stories with me about what happened during World War II. You know, but because I wasn't there, am I going to say, no, Nan, you didn't I'm not going to believe that because I didn't experience it. You know, then that's what I'm trying to say is history is telling us stuff, and that also relates to the books we read. You know, what's the difference between reading an article in fucking on Google versus a book? You know, why does a book take more context over an article that you read online? If you're going to read this article and say that's misinformation, and say to this book that's fucking true, when the message is the same, why do you trust one and the other? Well,
the internet is so dynamic where it can be changed online and all the different things. Obviously, a book, it's published, that's it. Even though it's on there, but I guess with the internet, it's just so dynamic. Well, books were made, you know, and that was it. And then you got that book, you know.
Yeah.
You don't
I'm not saying that everything online is fake and shouldn't be believed. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that a lot of our generation just simply won't.
But that's what I don't understand.
I don't understand it either.
Why don't you? If you're going to pick apart and say, I don't believe fucking anything I read, okay, why?
Yeah.
Do you not believe in history? Do you not believe that Hitler was a good person or a bad person, depending on where you live?
My favourite phrase is, people think Hitler was a good person, but they're weird. That's my favourite way of describing people who were Hitler fanatics.
Well, did he want to go to art school? Like you know, he really wanted to go to art school. He rejected an art school in, you know, where he grew up. Yeah. Well, he was born in Austria, wasn't he? Yeah. He was born in Austria. He might have been there, then he went to Germany. But he got rejected. And I saw this stuff on the internet. It's like, damn, why couldn't he just be accepted in art school? You know?
Yeah, instead of World War II, you've got this fucking great art exhibition by an Adolf Hitler. And it's some of the best shit you've ever seen, on par with fucking Da Vinci and whatnot. And yet, instead what we got was, increased prices to gas and whatnot. But like, me personally, I always try to back up what I read to find out if there's more sources that validate what I'm saying. That way, if I can say I believe in it, I've done my research to try to prove it. Whereas,
yeah, I know, but that's also another thing, that the statement that pisses me off is people say, I've done my research. No, cunt, you Googled something and read the first sentence of that Google search. If you're going to say, I've done my research, you're going to go on to Oxford or Harvard or whatever, look up a peer-reviewed article that's done, republish that article and get it peer-reviewed.
Yeah.
That's the only research that you're going to fucking do, and say, I've done my research. Until then, shut your fucking mouth, you haven't done any research. Unless you've done a peer-reviewed article. And, you know, what that entails is you've done this, and this is your outcome. So you've done this article on fucking mosquito bites. And you say mosquito bites leave you with a little red lump on your leg. Someone else will peer review it and go, oh, I didn't get a little red lump. Oh, okay. And then someone else will peer review that. And you go, no, I got a little red lump too. Okay, sweet. We're all on the similar page. Why didn't this person get a little red lump? That's a fucking peer-reviewed article, and that is research. Unless you're doing that, it doesn't matter whether it's on fucking COVID-19 or your left butt cheek hair.
Yeah.
I named him, Steve.
So, do you mind if I just go mental health? I just looked at the United Kingdom. Sorry to just completely.
It's time for a change of topic. It's screaming.
Well, it says the United Kingdom. So their theme for Mental Health Week in the UK was loneliness and mental health. For Mental Health Awareness Week in 2022, we looked at the connection between loneliness and mental health.
There is a connection. I think it's a very great connection.
Loneliness is affecting more and more of us in the United Kingdom and has had a huge impact on our physical health and mental health during the pandemic. Our connection to other people in our community is fundamental to protecting our mental health, and we need to find better ways of tackling the epidemic of loneliness. We can all play a part of it. What's your thoughts on that?
I think there's I don't want to say direct correlation because that would mean 100%.
Yeah.
But it's fucking close between loneliness and, I'm saying mental health, but it's depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because you could be surrounded by 1,000 of your loved ones and you could still feel alone.
Yeah, true. That's very true.
You know what I mean? But being disconnected from, I'm going to say, the world, you know, and yeah, it's all well and good to get the boys around, have a couple of beers, and hash your shit out and talk about things, get it off your chest. Not a lot of people can do that. Like,
one umbrella doesn't suit everyone.
Like
it
you
doesn't
or
fit
myself.
Everyone's different.
But could you just imagine if Adrian and I went in town and you had maybe one other person to go to and they were busy doing their own life, and you sat at home, you know, trying to look for validation on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever your social media is, and no one gave you that validation, or, you know, you're on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, whatever, trying to get matches and you get one, you open the notification and she's unmatched you straight away. Like, that sort of shit there really fucks in your head. So,
of course, yeah.
I don't want to say, you know, that sort of stuff can cause loneliness.
Yeah.
There's no doubt it doesn't. But then by the same token, you know, we have to, I guess, accept the fact we live in this day and age of COVID. So most things are very limited.
Yeah.
So, you know, now, yes, you can go to the pub and socialise, or the tavern if you're in America, or fucking whatever they can't call it. But
fucking tavern?
I don't fucking know. What do they call it?
In the US?
Yeah.
Pub, I'm pretty sure.
If you're listening to this and you're in America, comment down below what you call a pub.
Pretty sure tavern is a Scottish-Irish thing.
Water and hole. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, they would call it the water and
I don't
there's
know.
a bunch of different colloquiums that they would use.
But yeah, so I guess nowadays with us, you know, you can go to the local pub and you see a girl and you go, fuck it, shoot your shot. What's the worst that can happen? She looks at you and goes, no. Fair enough, I'm not your cup of tea.
That's mindset, yeah. And
you're not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
Because some people just prefer coffee. Simple as that.
Well, I'm in the fucking clear, aren't I?
You know, or like myself, everyone drinks fucking coffee. I prefer a Red Bull. So if someone says, fair enough. Walk away. Yeah, it takes a lot of fucking courage to do that. But the moment you let fear hold you back is the moment you're never going to accomplish anything. Will Smith fucking said it fantastically. On his way to a skydive, he was so full of fear and anxiety something was going to go wrong right up until he jumped out of the plane, and it was the best experience he ever had.
Yeah.
Why hold yourself back for something that you don't know the outcome of? Because it's fear. Yeah, it's a fear of rejection or, you know, a fear of whatever. But why do you let it hold you back?
There's a quote I remember from a trailer or something that was giving a general definition of fear itself. It was, fear is a very basic human emotion. It's the evil that you know and the evil you don't know.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think I saw the same thing. It's like walking out into the dark. You're not fearful of the dark. You're fearful of what's in the dark.
Yes, I shared that.
Of the unknown.
Yes, that's right. And that's fine. You have to be fearful. That's our fight or flight response.
Yeah.
But you don't know what's out there until you go out there. Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, like last night.
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, like last night, for instance, I was since I'm in a lot of pain at the moment, I don't get a lot of sleep, so I hear a lot of things at night, and there are times I have to go. I have to go look at what that noise was because it sounds like it came from the backyard. Yeah. Last night I heard. I'd smacked the table, but I don't want to, so I heard that. It was right out there. I have no idea what caused it. Me shitting my pants because it was at 2 a.m. and like, who is up? Came out, no lights were on, went outside, turned the light on, nothing. And I stood there and I'm like, alright, whatever, turned the light off, went back inside. Not dealing with it because there was no proof of anything going bang in the night. Oh, sorry, going bump in the night. But it's the thing that you hear, like, having that fear, because, yeah, I was shit scared. It's like, oh, am I going to go out there? There's an intruder, got a knife, going to stab me. If they're going to stab me, at least aim in the right spot so I don't have to get the surgery. But my point was, I had to face it. And once it was done, there was not relief, but it was like, okay, I know now. Oop, whatever, go inside. But there are different ways of reacting to finding out.
Well, this is, a quiet street. We'll just use that for example. Where I live is quite a busy street. There's a lot of foot traffic. So, I am quite fearful, I guess, of my car. I make sure I lock my car 3 times before I go to bed, like, fuck. But in legality terms, no, I don't. But, I've got a metal pole by the entrance of my doorway. So, if I need to go outside and investigate a noise or the dog's barking or whatever, I'll pick that. I won't pick that metal bar up, have it in my hand, so that way if I do find an intruder, my first instinct is to swing at the motherfucker. Why the fuck are you on my property? I mean, no, I won't. Hypothetically, I will, but no, I won't.
Well, I mean...
But you get what I'm saying is if you walk out there and there's nothing, and you're like, oh, fucking sweet.
Well, I mean, I left out this detail, but last night I walked out with one of the kitchen knives. But that's because, again, I was shit scared. And then it turned out I didn't even fucking need it. And for reference, it was the orange one I brought out, since they're colour coded. So I was like, yep, the orange one's short, but she's thick, so she'll do. And it was a literal last case scenario, because like I said, my brain goes straight to worst case scenarios, and it's a problem. But I mean, if I'd had the option of, because we used to have a softball aluminium bat.
Aluminum.
I can't pronounce that. Metal bat.
Yeah.
But the theme for Queensland Mental Health Week is awareness, belonging, and connection.
No, I want the UK's one.
Yeah,
you like the UK one? Sorry to be so random, but
yeah, it's fine.
Well, actually, what's your thoughts on loneliness and mental health?
Oh, yeah, obviously, like if someone's, it can have a huge impact on someone's mental health. Obviously, if you spend a long period of time by yourself and maybe you're trying to connect with people, or I don't know, opposite sex or whatever, you know what I mean, on that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not working out, and you spend a lot of time, of course, loneliness is it has like depressive symptoms and you feel really sad, and especially like elderly and things like that, being in a house with like all your friends have passed away or whatever, and sort of sad, and when they go to aged care home, they're seeing other people, and it's a little bit...
Would you say, and this is just a train of thought that just popped in my fucking head, would you say loneliness can lead to schizophrenia? A disconnection of the thoughts?
Oh, it's a very general term. You know, like no, yes, yeah. It
Comes
like,
down to the person.
It's very, very general. Yeah. Just like it's a very complex how that.
Yeah, it's a very complex question. I do.
Each their own. Each person is, you know, like I guess someone's spending a long period of time. They might be by themselves, or they might be starting to use substances. Maybe, yeah. But I guess, yeah. Like, of course, being lonely, yeah. You know what I mean? But some people like being by themselves, you know? Some people just prefer to be by themselves, you know? Like,
Well, I thought I did, but after I was forced to stay inside for months on end because of doctor's orders, I've started to realise that one, I might be fucking insane, but two, I really want to start going out there again and talking to people because. Well, it might be because of that human nature where you get told no because you can't do that, and you're like, fuck you, I want to do it now. It's like child mentality of, no, you can't have that, but I want it.
but it's also talking to the right people that want the very best for you, and you share a similar purpose, or maybe not the exact purpose, but, you know, they're supportive of you, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
So is there any patients, I guess, that come to you while you're at work or that you've seen admitted? Do any of them have quite a lonely background? Or is a lot of their cases from being traumatised?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with this. Like, obviously, I'm not breaking any confidence. Yeah, I'm just talking very, very general. But yeah, like, yeah, you know, there are people who spend a lot of time by themselves and, you know, have no contact with anyone. So that may be one point, but there's a lot of trauma out there. There's a whole lot of different stuff that's happened, and I think that's quite a lot of it. Yeah.
So you reckon trauma?
Yeah, trauma
outweighs loneliness.
Yeah. Well, in a way, but it's very general terms. Like, I'm putting a whole lot of individual things and putting it all together. But yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
You know, I guess as a percentage base for anyone that wants to listen to it, I'd probably go ahead and say 15%. You know, of I want to say total cases. Let's just put it all under the depression umbrella, and let's just say a good 15% of depressive cases are caused by loneliness.
Yeah, 15% still rather high, but definitely not as bad as I thought it would be, if I'm being honest.
You know, that's obviously a statistic I've made up.
Yeah, but it's a general thing based on the information you just got. It's the closest you can get.
Well, when you sit down, break it down and think about it, you know, a good chunk of that's going to be from trauma, but then you got to break down each, I guess, individual trauma. Some might be physical assault, some might be sexual assaults, you know, X, Y, Z, and then
domestic violence.
And then you throw loneliness in the mix.
Yeah. Loneliness isn't the worst case scenario of causing depression, but it can't be ignored.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, when I fucking am lonely, I feel worse than when I'm not.
But people taking substances, you know, ice and different things like that, normally there's something else going on that they're using that to, you know.
As someone who...
that's my find, yeah.
As someone who only used to basically smoke weed when they were younger, I've never understood the appeal of something like methamphetamine or ice or acid. I don't understand the appeal of acid even. I don't understand the appeal to a lot of drugs that people take. Not these people, that's categorization I don't want to use. But yeah,
I've been very fortunate. I've never got involved in. I'm not saying that I'm the good two shoes or whatever, but I've just.
Trent compared to us are the best goody two shoes.
But I'm not saying any of that. But my point is, I just for some reason, I just never really ended up I'm not judging anyone. I don't care what anyone. Each their own. They're all experiences. But like, I don't know. It's never been.
Don't get me wrong. Neither me or Jordan are really judging.
No.
But for me alone, I can't speak for anyone else here. But I don't understand the appeal.
Yeah,
that's just me. I
either.
used to understand the appeal for weed because I used to smoke the shit.
Sure, it's probably an incredible a very short-term gain. I mean, when we have this, neurological experience.
Yeah.
But the long-term, if you see the long-term side effect, if you really, you can see how detrimental, how much it can ruin your life.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's just sad.
Yeah. The best part about doing weed back in the day was just the trip. And that's not me mincing it. Just the trip I got from it. The feeling
I'm talking more about ice. I'm not talking about that's the whole. I'm not going to get.
I'm trying to compare.
I'm not going to get into marijuana and THC, but
marijuana. So the joy, the feelings that I got from marijuana. Yeah, back then I could understand it. Nowadays, not so much. Everything else, I've never seen the appeal to. I've never tried any of them. And I don't understand why people would try them, because I've seen people on all these other drugs and just, it's...
Well, speaking of drugs and mental health, Trent, have you heard of ketamine treatment for depression?
I'm like, I have heard of that, but I'm not going to probably comment on that. I'll probably leave that for no, seriously. Like, I have heard of it, but like I'm not going to probably comment on that. I'll be respectful. Yeah, I'm not going to comment. I'll leave that probably for like the psychiatrist sort of thing to talk about. Yeah, I probably could talk about it, but I just think. It's sort of it's just going into a realm where I'm talking about medications. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you just think it's something that you don't really have a say in? Truly, like you feel like it's not your place to have a say in it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think there's probably someone who's probably more informed.
Yeah.
To talk about it than.
Well, that's fair.
Than I am, because it is a active research topic.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, it is something that's
currently being looked into.
Currently being looked into.
So,
but yes, I have heard about it. Yeah.
So ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic used medically for induction and maintenance of anesthesia. It is also used as a recreational drug. It is one of the fastest anesthetics, as in contrast with opiates, ether and propofol. It suppresses neither respiration nor heart rate. So essentially what I got from that is it just slows you down.
Pretty much, yes.
So, I haven't heard fuck all about ketamine treatment and depression.
Yeah.
There's been no clinical studies done on it. There's been, nothing, I guess, in the sense of the word. Nothing in the sense of it. The only thing I've heard is someone comes to your house with an IV.
Yeah.
Witch doctor, and I use that term in air quotation marks.
Yeah.
Witch doctor comes to your house and puts you into this IV with your ketamine and saline solution and whatever in it. Apparently, and it can make you better. I'm like, okay, fair enough. If you think you need to go to that extreme, then that's fine. But there also needs to be like Murphy's law, Newton's law. With every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. Right? So with any sort of drug you take, whether it's recreational or prescribed, there's always going to be side effects. We were talking briefly this afternoon about the side effects of the medications that I'm on. Like, you know, I don't feel a thing. I don't feel sad, but I don't feel a fucking thing.
But they use it like in ED departments for someone who's having like an acute psychotic episode. You know, like they use the droperidol, the you know, ketamine. You know, like I will say, you know what I mean? Like in a really acute situation when someone is, you know, highly, you know,
they use it to sedate.
They don't use it in the facilities, you know, but they use it in like the, you know, when someone's, you know, like say highly
high rage
and highly rage, you know, they'll use it, that type of stuff there. But I think when you're talking about like, I think that's from my experience, I haven't seen it being used in facilities where I work, like, but it is something that is like that. There is sort of watch that space sort of thing. Yeah, there is evidence where, but obviously I'm not recommending that. But you know what I mean. It is certainly.
Oh, neither am I. I'm just saying, like, I did hear about it. Probably I don't know. 6 weeks ago, a couple of months ago now, heard, ketamine for depression. What the? Okay.
Yeah. There's like a whole lot of research that's happening. Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And
sort of watch that space or stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'd never heard of this before, ketamine being used for depression. But since it's the first time I'm hearing it, I can say, as someone who has slight interest in this stuff, well...
But when someone's in a total, like I mentioned before, but sorry if I'm repeating myself, it's like total rage, you know what I mean? And maybe that's not the right word to put it, like say they're in an aggressive, maybe highly psychotic state, and, you know, say those places like ED will potentially use that if, you know, under, you know...
ED in Australia is what Americans call, emergency room.
A&E or whatever, yeah.
So ED, ER.
Yeah, pretty much,
But back to what I was saying, like this ketamine being used for depression treatment, I definitely would like to read more into it to find out. But yeah, I don't know. Well, it's the first I've ever heard of it, so I have very little knowledge of it.
Well, to me, how can a ketamine use for depression be any as bad as CVT?
ECT, yeah.
Oh, ECT, whatever. Yeah. What did I say? CVT.
Yeah, you're thinking.
I'm thinking of cars. Don't worry about it.
So, when they're probably like ECT doesn't have the thing with ECT that it doesn't have the long term effects of like the short term. You might get a little bit of depending on the person, you might get a bit of a headache. You might not remember exactly what's happened all day, but there's no, or each person's different, but there's no significant long term from you know, contemporary research, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've just figured out the title for this episode, by the way. Yet another mental health awareness episode. Because we've not talked about much else, have we?
No.
We weren't really supposed to talk about it.
But you don't really agree with the Queensland government's, like you think they could
I feel like, no.
The UK is better? Or,
the UK's focus of mental health awareness is something I can get behind a lot more.
Yeah.
But in saying that, what was Queensland's again, sorry?
So, awareness, belonging, and connection. But there's a bit more if you actually read into it. There's like, it's about understanding things we maintain to boost our mental health. Well, yeah, it makes sense. Belonging is about looking out for each other, ensuring we feel safe, etc. Connection is about our relationships. That
just sounds like the Aussie way of putting mental illness as...
a different way to put it.
Hang out with your mates. That's basically what it... But
be a good cunt, not a shit cunt.
But I think you guys seem to resonate with that other...
We resonate with it a bit more. But the thing
I like that because it's a solution. It's like very solution-based. But you guys seem to like I said, resonate better. Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't think we were discrediting
No, you weren't. No,
the other
no.
one. We felt a little more. I'm not sure about Jordan. I felt a little more connected to the mental health and loneliness. What about you? Did you feel the same in a way? Loneliness?
Oh, just with the Queensland one, it sort of was like, hey, we're going to focus on this for this year. You know, it was being reactive rather than proactive.
Whereas you felt
The UK was more proactive than reactive.
That's fair.
You know, hey, let's talk about loneliness and its links to depression rather than this has happened, let's see why it happened. Which I get both sides of the coin, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Well, let's keep in mind as well that a lot
prevention is better than a cure.
That's very true.
You know, if we could prevent cancer, we fucking would. But in the meantime, we have to cure it.
Well,
Is it the right way or is it the other way around, Trent?
What's that, sorry?
Prevention is better than cure, or is it cure better than prevention?
prevention would be better.
I know like a diagnosis is not a diagnosis shouldn't be a label. A diagnosis should only be used for treatment.
Yeah. Oh shit! I wish you'd told me that years ago.
But that's actually a good one. Someone told me. I'm not going to take them, but I've always carried that. I always told people that. And it makes sense, eh? Don't you think? Yeah.
What was it? It was diagnosis.
It shouldn't be a label. It should just be used for medication.
Yeah, that's.
Someone told me that once, and I like go from.
Thank you to
my
whoever
own
told
stuff,
Trent.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I tell that,
Yeah, keep spreading the good word.
Yeah, that's.
Because there is no other way to say it other than that's probably the truest shit I've heard tonight. Because, but then again, what Jordan said is true as well. Prevention is better than a cure, is the layman's way of putting it. Because I feel like if we could prevent a lot of these illnesses that we discussed tonight, we would. But at the moment, because you said that you described your income and in and out patients as like a flow. One's in, one's out.
Well, that's a hospital system. Yeah. It's
But,
like in and out. Of a whole lot of range of different stuff. One in, one out. Yeah.
But you get what I mean.
Mental
Like,
health. It's in there.
but we're at the stage where that is a flow.
Yeah.
So if we could prevent a lot of mental illness, would you think that flow would cease and it wouldn't be as consistent and constant?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And would you like to see that? Because now this is one I've wanted to ask you from the start.
Well, it's all stuff you do in the community.
Yeah,
it's all that stuff in the community.
But as someone who is a mental health nurse, and this one isn't going to break confidentiality because this is just a simple answer from you.
Yeah.
Do you feel a lot of sadness seeing all these people suffering from what's in their head?
Of course.
And
I can get very,
very emotional?
very emotional. Well, I keep professionally, and you got to understand where you can't sort of
Get too attached. But
we're human beings, eh? Yeah, like
But,
we're human beings,
Because you see these people, especially the catatonic depression,
Yeah, of course.
and you see them and you just sit there probably a lot of sadness going, how did you get here?
But yeah, like clinical supervisors to work for all that, and But I guess sometimes like your greatest strengths can be sometimes your weakness. You know what I mean? Like I guess like not that I'm talking myself up too much, but you can have lots of empathy, but that can also be,
Are you saying you care too much for your own damn good?
But you know what I mean? But I don't know. Some other people might be, their strengths, but they might be really, blunt but sometimes it can be totally,
Yeah, we can.
I'm not making any point to you guys.
No, when you said blunt, I was half tempted to go.
No, I'm not making a point.
No,
to Jordan,
that's Aden.
because Jordan is.
I'm good with blood. I just
No,
I can't
not
smell
blood.
it.
He said
Blood.
blunt.
Oh, blunt.
No, Jordan is quite empathy. I'm not making a point to Jordan.
No. I was going to make a joke like blunt.
Maybe that's not the right word.
Whereas blood, I know you.
But I've learned to be straight to the point with a lot of stuff. But you go for a whole lot of stuff. Yeah. I mean, where the line is, all that. But you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well,
you know what I mean?
there's sometimes you got to sugarcoat something.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes you're like, I'm calling your bluff.
Yeah.
Stop acting like a fuckwit and pull your head in. Otherwise, sometimes you're like, hey mate, look, I know you're going through a real rough patch. I get it. I do.
Yeah.
My heart's on my hand on my heart. I get you 100%. Please don't act like that again.
And then
there's that balance, like, I've had to learn, like, look, like, I don't know, not work situation, but just life situations. I don't know, you know what I mean? Someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that sort of shit helps you.
Situations like,
Yeah, they,
internet scammer or someone on the phone, like, stop, hang up, whatever, just.
But
deal with it, yeah.
It's not just that though. It's, you could be out at the pub or the nightclub or something, and someone wants to start on you, and you're just like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
You could just whatever, walk away.
Leave me alone. Stop.
Yeah. That's right. And you sort of take what you've sort of learnt from work, and how people address you in a very aggressive manner. You take that and you put it. I'm not going to say the real world because it sort of undermines what your work is. But for lack of better words, you take that into a real world context where you've got someone at the pub and he's starting on you and you're just like, look mate, you just walk away. You go get the bouncer, hey, this guy's been a fuckhead. You get it dealt with. It's the same thing with work. Obviously different if someone's fucking throwing punches and wants to kill you, but sort of the same sort of scenario.
Yeah.
It's where you got to draw the line and go, you know what, this guy's just having a bad day, he's taking it out on me.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's my favourite saying. It's not the best saying in the world.
oh fuck no.
But at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to let shit slide and just go, it is what it is. It doesn't work out in your favour. Not everything's going to work out in your favour.
And if it did, who are you? Are you Superman?
Well, that's life, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I hear of all these people that...
It's resilience, isn't it? Yeah, resilience, yeah.
I hear of all these people that have no worries and all that. It's like, are you human? Like, you don't... There's nothing that... what's the word? Griefs you? There's nothing that worries you? It's like, we're all human. We all worry about something one time or another.
Of course, yeah.
And then these people are like, I have no care in the world. Bullshit. You have to. And I don't mean in the way, because I can see your thought process. I'm not talking about, don't let things get to you kind of way. I mean, like, you don't sit, like, these people just sit there, skate through life and everything's hunky-dory. How does the world not give you anything to worry about and yet you're going straight arrow?
Because if they were to get given a curveball, they probably would end up 6 feet under. That's sorry, but that's the harsh reality of it. Whether you believe in a God or you don't. If you believe in a God, God gives his greatest battles to his toughest soldiers.
Fair.
Yeah.
You can go, mate, I fucking go down to hell. I can show you vouchers. Like, I'll take you for a ride. Come with me. Sort of
are
thing.
you quoting Eminem?
I think it's Eminem.
No, you're quoting
Little Wayne, yeah.
Fuck, I'm sitting there. I know you're quoting a rapper. I'm sitting here. Motherfucker.
It's one of the two, but,
They've gone through some hard stuff, those guys,
Not all of them. There's some of them that you just look at and you go, you don't need anything in your lyrics. But then you hear other ones like Eminem, some of the shit he raps about, you're like,
jeez.
Yeah, but you look at Little Wayne got shot. I think it was as an 8-year-old boy got shot, and all the coppers and everyone jumped over him except for one white copper that fucking took him to the ER and sat with him until the doctor said he's going to make it. shit like that, right? But when they say those sort of lyrics, it actually means something, I can say it because I'm in it. Like, fuck that. I've been and danced with the devil, and mate, it's not quote unquote the devil you think of when you think of the fucking Bible, but
the devil is your own darkness.
Yeah, exactly right. So, that's why I said that one specific line is, mate, if I was to bring anyone else down and put them and walk a mile in my shoes and go dance with the devil and come back, they wouldn't come back. They wouldn't last 2 fucking seconds.
No.
And I'm not saying I'm the strongest or I'm the be all and end all, but I've been through some shit, and I wouldn't be here if I wasn't strong enough to persevere and have a bit of resilience and come out the other side.
Well, we all go through different. I guess, trials.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is you're talking about these guys that skate through life with no cares in the world and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, there's that sort of person. Then there's people like me that I don't give a shit. And I don't have a care in the world. I've got a job now that I don't, money for me is not an issue.
Yeah.
In the sense of I don't need to stress about it, and if I didn't have money, what else would I stress about?
Yeah, I wasn't talking about you specifically.
Yes, I know, but I can only relate from myself and my point of view.
Yeah, because but the reason I brought that up is because your don't give a shit attitude came from the fact that you gave too much of a shit and then you stopped. Because it was just doing you more harm than good. Would you say that?
No, the reason why I stopped giving a shit was to actually not let it get to me.
No. Yeah.
You think of yourself as like a boat. Think of the ocean as anger and sadness and grief and whatever negative emotion there is. Unless there's a hole in your ship, you will stay afloat. There's a hole in your ship, you will let all these sort of fucking emotions get onto your ship and bring you down. Be like the Titanic wasn't.
I'd say too soon, but no.
See, Jordan's been very strong, obviously, and that's why he's so strong. Like, I never really he's gone for it, and that's highly commend. Wonderful that you've come so far. But I never really went through that. I never went through that trauma base. Let's be honest. But like, I went through a school childhood learning disability. I diagnosed with ADHD or ADD. Was on the spectrum of sort of weaned out of different things, and I've come to the place where I am. So I guess that's another way of. So I think you go through life and you either just. It's one way you either sink or swim, and you just find a way to swim, and get to where we are and soldier on,
Oh god, I just had a very bad fucking image in my head.
You know what I mean?
Just imagine there's this giant storm. Here's Jordan in the middle of it. I'm gonna fucking swim. You can't stop me. And here's Trent with his floaties. I'm sorry. It just popped in my fucking head, and I just imagine Trent's got these big ass fucking grin on his face, like.
But I never went through that. Well, let's be honest. I've never gone for that trauma base, and thankfully I never did. But I certainly went through.
You went through your fair share of
challenges, being doubted, told I was never going to achieve anything in my life at quite a young age by not my parents. My parents never believed it, but by particular other people going through say different areas, whatever going through life of people and then totally proving them wrong, but not for their sake, to prove them, just for my own sake,
Well, no two parts are the same.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how you finish the race as long as you finish the race.
Yeah.
It's the turtle in the hair.
I never really talked about that stuff, but now I'm totally open about it. I don't care. You're like,
Exactly right.
Yeah,
it's the
it's good
same
to a point.
thing for me. I always used to
Yeah.
bottle up my emotions and never really talk about what was on my mind or on my chest, and that leads you down to a very resentful sort of dark place. But now if someone asks me, "Oh, how was your day?" "Yeah, it was fucking shit. I stubbed me toe, my finger went up my arse, I cracked me head."
Out of the three of those things, Jordan only enjoyed one of them.
Stubbed me toe. yeah, but
We all know
you know what I mean. It's
But
the devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
yeah.
better to get
Self-awareness, awareness, yeah.
Better to give that motherfucker a drink, sit down with him, and get to know him.
You know, I'd rather beat his ass with a fucking whip.
I'd rather know him first before I do it. That way, I know what the hell I'm dealing with.
Because when
Yeah,
If he's a
I know, but
sadist,
that goes back to what I was
Yeah.
saying with the darkness. You get comfortable with that.
Oh yeah, no.
So,
I was
you-
making a joke. But okay.
You're aware of his presence,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying to say is
Well-
you don't need to fucking know how many pubic hairs he's got in his head, but you
Make it my
fucking count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. No,
Also, it's fucking what I was gonna say is you beat him down. I'm like, yeah, but if you
beat him
enjoy-
off.
if you enjoy that, if he enjoys that shit, you're not doing much. You're not doing yourself a favor. You're just getting him off. But I get what you're saying. Water. I'm gonna drown one
it's a
day.
lot of water.
I know. Yeah. Why do you think I got up and disappeared for like a minute during the podcast? Like when I had no input whatsoever. It's because I'm drinking this much fucking water.
yeah,
But no, the devil you know, better to know him than to.
the
ignore
devil you
him.
know is better than the devil you don't.
Yeah, better to know him. That way you know what you're fighting. To a degree, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
go with that.
but it's it's not just that. It's you never be able to fight and win that battle alone.
Oh God, no.
You got to have a support network around you, whether it's friends or family or psychologist, psychiatrist, psychotherapist, your fucking GP, a random guy down the street, or the fucking the cunt on the fucking 1-800 suicide hotline, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
1-800 Beyond Blue, whatever.
See, my thing is what I've always wanted to say, and yes, this will be a joke, so don't stress, is, yeah, I'll help push you through the darkness, but I'm not catching you. You're too fucking heavy for me. But in essence, like, even you have all these connections to help you get through it, but even the simplest thing of a pet, something that's not human that you can connect to.
That sensory sort of stuff, isn't it? Yeah, like music.
I mean, me and
pets, obviously,
the cat we have here. Yeah, he definitely makes me feel better sometimes. If I'm sitting there at night, and lately, if I'm sitting there at night in a lot of pain, and I've left my door open, a little bastard comes in, makes himself comfortable on my shoulder, but he doesn't leave till I fall asleep.
Something so simplistic that can be so,
Yeah, but then also, it's not your cat, if you know what I mean. So it's different when you have your dog or your cat, because it's another added stress on your shoulders. Am I being a good dad to my dog? Am I being a good dad to my child, my stepkid, whatever? Or, mother to whatever. It brings a whole other stress that you worry about, and you go, fuck it, did I feed them enough? Are they full? Obviously kids more complex, but would you say a dog or a cat for this instance? Am I being a good parent to what I'm looking after? Am I neglecting them in any way? And it's all well and good to have a companion. It really is.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go and say go out and buy a dog or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you have a dog, you need to still think that you still have that burden in the back of your mind, because you can't even look after your own self mentally. Yeah, it's good to have a dog for that companionship or whatever, a pet for that companionship. But you got to be prepared for when your mind starts playing tricks going, you're a bad parent. And no one talks about that. I've not once heard someone say, that sort of reference. Everyone's like, get a pet, you know, you'll love it, you'll get a pet. Until you forget to feed them one night, or, you know, they've chewed up your blanket or your toy or your shoes and you boot them in the ass and you feel like the worst motherfucker in the world. And then you beat yourself up, and then you beat yourself down, and you beat yourself up again. And no one talks about that.
No, they don't. There's a lot to keep in mind too. Huh. I never really thought about it. Well, I guess that's because it's never brought up. So thank you, Jordan. Thanks for doing that.
But having like a dog or a cat or whatever, like it is obviously like having a child, obviously, but like it's a responsibility, and if you can't
look after it, maintain it,
you know what I mean? Yeah, there's no point.
Look, I'm not saying
you can
children are just little crotch goblins.
Look, I'm not saying that, you know, dogs and kids and cats and kids are the same thing, but I have seen some hairy motherfucking children that could pass as a goddamn dog. So
take it whatever way you want, whatever, but it makes sense, doesn't it?
That fucking dog than a kid, I'll say that much.
Nope, I'm leaving that. But fucking hell, that's a lot of talk of mental health. What do we want to add on to this? We've been at this for 2 hours now.
Really? Shit.
Yeah. We have a lot to say about mental health, especially when, like, you know, depression and anxiety meant like mild anxiety, and a professional mental health nurse. Kind of got a lot to talk about. Especially with you here, Trent. Like, if it was just me and Jordan, this conversation would have probably been over.
Yeah.
Within 15 minutes?
Oh, I think you guys could go quite a long period because you have a lot of passion. And obviously, you do too. You know.
My thing is with depression, the extent of it is seeing it affect someone I know and love.
Yeah.
And
he's been very strong to get through a lot of different complex stuff. Yeah.
And, you know, there's only so much that I can talk about with it before I have run out of what I've got going on in my noggin, which is empty right now.
Is it ever full?
Wow, that was pretty.
Yeah, you know what? I asked for it, so it's okay.
Noggin full. Oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah, oh, Trent, fucking hell.
Well, I have to take the heat off you. Yeah.
Fucking what heat? There is no heat. If I had any heat on me, I'd be wet.
You're not a ranger. Heat on him.
John, why? Why do you do that? But
why not?
Yeah, that's but.
Hey, Adrian.
I think we can wrap this up here, eh? Been here for a few hours.
Mick, wrap it up. Well, I got something for you. Trent, do you know what a Zippo is?
Zippo? No, I don't.
I'll go out and get it.
We got to do this.
Oh, here we go.
We got it. No, trust me. You need to understand what a Zippo is.
So tell the listeners what's going on.
No, just this is a Zippo. Yeah. So to describe it for listeners,
it's an old school.
Oh fuck.
Fleet gas operated.
Oh, of course. Yeah. All right, now
So you put like
of course.
liquid butane in there, and then and right.
Oh shit.
Now, I've got a question for you.
Where is this kid?
What's the difference between a hippo, a hippopotamus, and a Zippo?
Don't think about it too hard. For the love of God, don't think about it too hard.
What's the difference?
Oh, a hippo is a hippo, and a zipper has got fire. One's got no fire, one's wet, one's got fire.
To be fair, he's not
wrong. No.
One's got fire, one's wet.
What's the difference between a hippo and a Zippo? One's 1,000 kilos, the other one's a little lighter.
Wait, gotta do it.
That was a knee slapper.
Rim knee slapper. Oh. But,
yes, thigh slapper.
Yeah.
Ow.
That didn't sound like a knee, and it sounded a little wet too. You got a hippo over there, do you, Trent? Or are you just happy to see me?
Always, Adrian.
Fuck. Oh, you're making me.
No, Adrian.
You're making me laugh from the gut.
No, you're right,
Stop.
Adrian. You're right, yeah.
Please. I beg you. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap that up here. Jordan's done his humour for the day.
It's Willie wrap it up.
Thank you, Trent, for being here for this rather long discussion of all the...
Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, when you look at it, surprisingly, yes and
No.
You could have been...
I mean, we did have something else we wanted to talk about. We never got to it.
What was
No.
that?
We'll save it for another episode.
Okay, yeah, true. You're a true, sort of podcaster, right? Yeah.
So, as I said at the start of this episode, if you made it all the way to the end here, fucking good on you. Always.
If you made it this far, leave us a review, give us 5 stars on Spotify, and a thumbs up on YouTube.
And if you don't want to do that, at least give a thumbs up to your bum.
Yeah, and
Make yourself happy at the very least. Come on.
message us on Instagram at The Opinionated Aussies and just say Adrian's a wanker. If you made it this far, just do it.
Why is that? Stop.
Because it's going to be a running joke.
I don't want it to be a running joke. Have you seen me? I don't run. Don't make me the running joke.
Might make you a little lighter.
Oh, ow. Oh, you're a cunt. Oh, that hurts.
Don't even press the stop button.
Anyway.
Thanks, Trent. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.